Warning. The following content may contain elements that are not suitable for some feminists. Viewer intelligence is advised. The following is part 1 of my 84 issues with Emma Watson's speech at the UN, which launched the He for She campaign. Hello, this is Canadian MGTOW. Having fun. And not giving a shit. And if it is one thing I don't give a shit about, it was the Emma Watson speech at the UN, where she launched the He for She campaign. When it comes to her speech, I was listing off everything in it that I had issues with, and the list just kept getting longer and longer. Some comments I read online struck a chord, and are included here as well. I have given attributions where possible. So I present to you, 84 issues I have with Emma Watson's He for She campaign speech. In no particular order. Number 1. If He for She is about gender equality, why is it not called We for We, or Us for Us? Number 2. She speaks to how feminism has become a bad word, but she doesn't address why many men and women are alienated from it. Do tell. Number 3. It has taken 40 plus years to be invited to the table. Why is that? Number 4. Why did it take 40 plus years of feminist conferences to finally clue in that men only made a small portion of the audience? Number 5. Feminism promotes strong independent women that need no men, so why do you need us now? Number 6. Why not simply rebrand yourself as humanists or egalitarians? Is it because you would lose funding? Number 7. He for she seems to imply that he needs to somehow save she. Is this your cutesy way of perpetuating female victimhood? Number 8. Is he for she an appeal to bring back chivalry? I thought feminists hated chivalry because it was sexist. I guess he for she doesn't sound sexist? Really? Number 9. He for she is a phrase that captures today's society, his servitude for her wants. Number 10. Where is the She for He campaign? Sounds like the one-way street feminism is known for, namely focusing on one gender in the name of equality. Number 11. No mention of men's rights. Just some vague soundbite of women's freedom will be good for you too. Number 12. Emma mentioned her father, but did not touch on the issue of fathers' rights. Just that he wasn't appreciated as much by society. Number 13. No mention of men's issues and how they are often dismissed, or their advocates being labeled misogynist. Number 14. He for she reduces men to disposable utilities. Always expecting men to do stuff for women. Just because. Number 15. When have women ever done anything for men? When has a man stood up at the UN and asked women to support men? Oh, right. Never. Number 16. How can a woman genuinely understand what it is to be a man, especially in today's gynocentric world? You are so blinded by your privilege, you can't see it. Number 17. Why does the UN entertain a feminist campaign, while there are 64 wars currently going on, and an Ebola epidemic that could spread in the near future and affect 1 million people? Number 18. How is Emma's speech, that toes the liberal feminist party line, considered game-changing? Number 19. Standard feminist logic, when men improve, women will naturally improve as well. The idea that women might not naturally improve, is so foreign and incomprehensible to them. Number 20. Movements can be, and I think should be, defined by how they react to their extremists. So for instance, at a men's conference in Detroit they had to move venues, pay tens of thousands of dollars in extra security costs, and it was almost cancelled as a result of radical feminist bomb threats. I did not see any write-ups, any outrage or any condemnation of the threats from feminists. Number 21. You've invited men to the table, but what about the agender and genderqueer individuals? What about all those in-between people that you talk of whenever you promote your idea that gender is a spectrum? Number 22. The speech was a very mainstream feminist speech. Egotistical. Self-serving. Hey, listen up. I'm telling you, how you can help Me. Number 23. How can a feminist understand men, if they don't even understand the needs of other women? What does it matter if African girls don't get a secondary education if they don't have enough to eat in the first place, or a war is waging on in their country? You know, one of those 64 wars currently going on that the UN should be focusing on. Number 24. Amazing that the media got so fired up about this fairly standard statement of basic human rights in relation to women. Put a man in the same setting talking about men's rights, and you will see which gender is privileged. Number 25. Watson ends her speech with a call to these inadvertent feminists, presumably male, to step forward and ally with he for she. Which, translated, reads, you don't need to examine your reluctance to identify as feminist, you don't need to examine the stigmatization of the word, or what that stigmatization serves, you don't need to be intentional about your politics. Guess what? You can be an accidental feminist. Sounds like you want just extra bodies, to get more votes, to enact even more sexist laws. Number 26. Emma and her supporters won't be happy until there is no longer a designation as male or female. One day a person can decide they are a male, the next day female, and the day after that both. I have no need for a unisex society. Number 27. What if we take up Joss Whedon's position that people should stop labeling themselves ists? Nobody calls themselves a racist and pretends it's a benefit to their race, using the term genderist for anyone who wishes to separate or disparage one or the other sex holds far more power in peer pressure. Number 28. Emma spoke, as a white privileged feminist, of her disappointment at being called bossy when she wanted to lead and direct plays when she was 8. But for millions of other 8-year-olds across the world, they face the prospect of being forced into child marriages, or going hungry so that the boys in the family can be fed, or carrying the burden of supporting and helping their mothers, and, essentially never experiencing a childhood. Oh, that poor little rich girl from Britain.